In the shadows of a raging storm, a humble fisherman pulls an unconscious woman from the surf, bloodied, breathless, and wearing a watch worth more than his boat. He doesn't know her name. He doesn't know she's Evelyn Sterling, the billionaire tech mogul who just vanished in an explosion at sea. All Luca knows is she needs saving, and he's the only one there to do it. But Evelyn isn't just running from the wreckage. She's fleeing a betrayal buried deep inside her billion-dollar empire. Someone tried to kill her, and now, on a forgotten island with no cell service, she's safe for the first time in years, even as the world thinks she's dead. As memories return and enemies close in, an unlikely bond forms between two people from opposite worlds. She's hunted by power, he's haunted by poverty. Together they'll uncover a conspiracy that could shatter one of the most powerful companies on Earth and maybe build something real in the ruins. A dim gray light pushes through the dusty front windows of Pan y Alma, a small, worn-out bakery tucked between a laundromat and a pawn shop. The neon open sign flickers lazily above the door, buzzing faintly, as if unsure of its own optimism. Inside, the scent of rising dough and roasted coffee blends with the faint hum of a forgotten radio playing a 90s love ballad. Flour dust floats in sunbeams that filter through cracked blinds. The display case holds just a few pastries left over from the previous day, slightly stale but carefully arranged. Tomas Santiago, 34, Latino, sturdy build with a kind face, stands behind the counter wearing a flour-stained apron. His hands move with mechanical precision, kneading dough as though each press of his palm holds back defeat. His fingers are strong but cracked at the knuckles. This is a man who works hard, for too little. He glances toward a yellowing photograph pinned to the corkboard, a younger Tomas standing proudly next to an older man in front of the same bakery, their aprons clean, smiles wide. The handwritten note beneath it reads, "For the love of bread and people, Papa." Tomas exhales. He reaches under the counter, pulls out a small notebook labeled Inventory Expenses, and flips it open. Numbers in red ink dominate the pages. He rubs his eyes, then looks at the wall clock. 5:47 a.m. Too early for customers, but too late to stop now. He moves back to the prep table. With muscle memory born from years of routine, he shapes dough, slides trays into the old oven, adjusts the dial that sticks at 375 degrees. The oven ticks loudly, then roars to life with a familiar wheeze. He sets a kettle to boil, grinds coffee beans by hand. Every sound, crackling heat, scraping metal, low groan of the refrigerator, is part of a symphony of survival. This bakery isn't just a job, it's a legacy. It's the only thing he has left of his father. A bell above the door jingles softly. Enter Maria, late 50s, with a canvas tote and eyes sharper than her age suggests. A neighborhood regular. Tomas greets her with a tired smile and slides a concha onto the counter. They exchange brief words. Maria notices the new bruise on his hand, raises an eyebrow. He shrugs it off. The kettle whistles. Tomas pours 2 mugs. They sip quietly while the city outside begins to wake. The moments stretch long in the comfort of routine. Maria leaves with her tote a little heavier. Tomas watches her go, then wipes the counter, refills the display case with warm pastries just pulled from the oven. He arranges them like offerings to a world that barely looks in his direction. More customers trickle in, 3 construction workers, 2 elderly sisters, a young boy on a skateboard who pays with coins, each greeted like family. each served with patience and gratitude. But the register rings too softly. The tip jar remains nearly empty. Tomas counts the money after each transaction with discreet glances, anxiety twitching behind his calm exterior. By 9:15 a.m., the initial rush fades. Tomas exhales, stretches his back, and leans against the counter. His eyes drift again to the photograph. His fingers tap the edge of the counter rhythmically, like a ticking clock he's always racing against. He turns to the back, grabs a mop, and starts cleaning. The bell above the door doesn't ring, until it suddenly does, violently, like a gust of wind crashing into calm. A burst of movement. The door flies open. Rain. The street outside is wet, puddles dancing under wheels and heels. A woman rushes in, nearly slipping on the welcome mat. Her hair is soaked, her coat clings to her frame, and one of her high heels is snapped, dangling, broken, like something she doesn't normally worry about. Tomas straightens, surprised. The woman steadies herself, scans the room quickly. Her eyes meet Tomas's. Something flickers there, not fear, not embarrassment, but frustration layered over exhaustion. She winces and limps toward the nearest table, dropping her bag with a heavy thud. Tomas hesitates, then moves toward her, curious. She takes off her shoe, examines the damage. The heel dangles hopelessly. It's expensive, obviously so, but completely useless now. She doesn't say much. Tomas doesn't either, but something begins, quiet, awkward, and completely unexpected. Rain continues to pelt the windows, soft and rhythmic, as if offering a soundtrack to this unexpected moment. Tomas sets the mop aside and grabs a towel from under the counter. Without a word, he walks it over to the woman. She accepts it silently, dabbing at her soaked coat and damp curls. Her makeup is barely smudged, just enough to reveal she's not used to things falling out of place. Tomas kneels down slowly, inspecting the broken heel. He gently takes the shoe from her hand, turns it over, studies the jagged break. It's clean, just a snap, no missing parts. He gives a short nod to himself, then disappears into the back room. She looks around for the first time. The bakery is small, unassuming. A handwritten chalkboard menu, a few framed photos. A wall calendar was still stuck on last month. Her eyes pause at the framed photo of Tomas and his father. She lingers on it, expression softening for just a second. Tomas returns with a few odd objects, wooden toothpicks, strong twine, a small squeeze bottle of glue, and electrical tape. He places the shoe on the counter and gets to work with calm, practiced hands. The process is improvisational, but confident. The woman watches, amused and slightly incredulous. This man is gluing her $1,000 heel back together with the same concentration most surgeons reserve for open-heart procedures. He wraps the toothpicks tightly inside the heel to act as a brace, glues it back to the sole, then reinforces the entire thing with the twine, carefully hidden beneath the curve of the arch. A final touch of electrical tape, mostly invisible unless you looked very closely. He sets the shoe down, turns it slowly, and waits. She lifts an eyebrow, cautiously impressed. She slides it on, slowly stands, carefully shifts her weight. It holds. Tomas smiles, just barely. The woman walks a small circle in the bakery. It's not a perfect fix, but it works. Her heel doesn't wobble. She gives a short laugh, genuine, a little surprised at herself. She glances at him with something close to gratitude, maybe even admiration. He shrugs modestly, wipes his hands with a cloth. Without prompting, he moves behind the counter and sets down a fresh croissant and a steaming mug of coffee. She hesitates. Then sit. She's unsure if she should stay, but something tells her she should. The rain starts to lighten. The bakery, warmed by the oven and coffee, feels more like shelter than stopover now. They sit quietly, him behind the counter, her at the small table. The storm outside dulls the sounds of the city. A soft moment stretches, unbroken by phones, screens, or urgency. She checks her watch, more out of habit than need, then notices her gold pin missing, a small piece of jewelry shaped like a falcon. She frowns slightly and begins to search through her bag. Tomas notices but doesn't mention the object he found earlier that morning beneath the counter. Time passes. She eventually stands. The shoe holds. She thanks him in her own reserved way, slips something into the tip jar, and walks out without looking back. After she's gone, Tomas fishes into the jar, finding not a few coins, but a neatly folded $100 bill. He stands there for a long moment, then opens the drawer behind the counter. Inside, nestled beside old receipts and spare change, lies the falcon-shaped pin. He turns it over in his hand, weighing its heft, its mystery. The next day arrives like every other: flour, dough, steam, exhaustion. But Tomas is distracted. He keeps glancing toward the door. Lunch hour, slow. Only one customer so far, a regular. He's halfway through cleaning the espresso machine when the door chime jingles again. She returns, but this time no heels, no designer coat. She's dressed simply. Jeans, white blouse, flat shoes, hair tied back. Still beautiful, still graceful, but less contained. She offers a soft smile. He nods, gesturing toward the same table. No questions. She accepts the offer, sits. Tomas prepares her the same pastry and coffee as before, almost instinctively. She notices, smiles a little more. They exchange pleasantries, brief and surface level. But there's warmth now, a familiarity born not of history but of shared silence. When he returns to the counter, she reaches into her bag and retrieves a small envelope. Inside is a receipt, an invoice, actually, for shoe repair at a high-end boutique. The price is obscene. She slides it across the table with a wink of irony, then pushes it back to herself. Her way of saying, "Your fix was better." Tomas shrugs, amused, then quietly places the falcon pin on the table between them. Her face freezes just a moment, recognition flashes, but she recovers quickly. She thanks him, this time with eyes that hold something deeper, not just appreciation, but a hint of vulnerability. Outside, the city continues on, unaware. Inside, something quiet is forming, a connection neither of them planned for, one rooted not in attraction or appearance or wealth, but in stillness, in decency. She finishes her coffee, lingers just long enough to make it clear she's not in a rush. And then she leaves again. This time she looks back. The sun is out the next morning, casting golden lines across the front windows of the bakery. The air smells sweeter than usual. Cinnamon, vanilla, something almost celebratory. Tomas works quietly, rolling dough, humming a tune from memory. He seems lighter today, his steps a bit more deliberate, his mood less weighed down. Around 10:30, she returns. She carries herself differently now, slightly more relaxed, her shoulders not so square, her eyes more curious than guarded. She places her phone on the table, screen down. No assistant, no car idling outside. Just her, a small smile and the scent of rising bread. Tomas places a new pastry in front of her, one he hadn't made the last time. She raises an eyebrow. He shrugs. She takes a bite and closes her eyes. It's good, maybe too good. Customers come and go. Most pay little attention to her. She's unrecognizable in this state, simple, stripped down. Only one man stares a little too long, trying to place her face. She notices, says nothing. Tomas sees it too, but offers no reaction. She stays longer today, pulls out a small book from her bag, reads quietly. Tomas cleans, bakes, tends to the register, but often glances her way. By the time she leaves, it's nearly closing. She places cash on the table, then adds something else. A folded napkin with a handwritten note. Tomas waits until she's gone to open it. Just a short sentence. People underestimate what's held together by string. The days that follow repeat this new rhythm. She comes in every morning now, sometimes early, sometimes late, but always alone, always unannounced. Each time her clothing becomes a little less curated, her presence a little less rehearsed. Tomas never asks her real name, she never volunteers. But their silences grow more meaningful. The neighbors start to whisper. Maria watches from her seat near the window one morning as the mystery woman leaves. She eyes Tomas for a long moment, stirring her tea slowly. He pretends not to notice, but he does. Later that week, Tomas brings the gold pin to Maria. She doesn't touch it, just squints and leans in, adjusting her glasses. A quiet gasp escaped her lips. She lifts her phone, searches, scrolls, then turns the screen to Tomas. There it is, a press photo of a gala event. A woman in a shimmering dress stepping out of a limousine, a close-up of her neckline, the falcon pin gleaming unmistakable. Beneath the photo, Isabella Hartwell, tech heiress and media recluse, makes a rare public appearance. Tomas stares at the image. It's her. His first reaction isn't awe, it's disbelief. His second is discomfort. The woman who's been eating conchas and sipping coffee in his bakery for a week is one of the richest people on the planet. He pockets the pin quietly, leaving Maria with more questions than answers. Back at the bakery, everything feels a little louder. The register dings sharper. The oven hums more intensely. His hands shake slightly as he preps the next batch of dough. She walks in a few minutes later as if nothing's changed, but it has. He watches her a little longer than usual, unsure whether to confront her or let the charade play out. She seems different now, not in appearance, but in the knowledge behind her eyes, as if she knows he knows, and she's waiting to see what he'll do with it. He says nothing, just slides her a fresh roll, warm from the oven. She accepts it and meets his gaze. Her smile falters for half a second, then she looks away. That evening, Tomas closes early. The bakery is empty, the street outside painted in orange streetlight glow. He walks to the back room, past the flour sacks, past the sink, past the locked cabinet he hasn't opened in months. He pulls out a binder, weathered, full of yellowing pages, sketches, and handwritten notes in his father's blocky script. Business plans, expansion ideas, dreams that never got off the ground. One page is marked with a sticky note for when it's time to rise. Tomas stares at the page for a long time, then turns off the light. That night he dreams of ovens bigger than this one, of lines around the block, of warmth and laughter and success. But also of her, standing in the middle of it all, laughing, free, but still a mystery. The next morning he wakes up early. He bakes without the radio on. Just silence, steam, and the long breath before something begins. Morning fog hangs low over the city, softening everything it touches. Inside the bakery, the warmth has returned. The oven clicks, hums, breathes. Dough rises in quiet patience. Tomas works in rhythm, not rushing, not dragging, just moving, steady and present. She arrives mid-morning, earlier than usual, holding a book in one hand and a paper bag in the other. Her posture is different, more open, like someone who has decided to stop hiding. She hands him the bag without a word. Inside, a pair of flats and the same repaired heel, carefully wrapped. He unwraps it, inspects it again, his handiwork slightly frayed now, but still holding strong. She gestures as if to say, "You were right to use twine." He nods. She stays longer than ever that day, even helps bus a few empty plates while he's busy in the back. When the last customer leaves, they sit near the window, watching the drizzle return. No masks, no tension. They talk more today, stories exchanged like postcards from distant places. She mentions a boarding school in Switzerland, he counters, with sleeping in the back of a delivery van to save rent. They laugh, real, whole, unrehearsed laughter. When she mentions her love of pastries, she doesn't say it like a billionaire. She says it like a girl remembering her grandmother's kitchen. Tomas listens carefully but says little. She's no longer just a puzzle, she's a presence now, real and imperfect and quietly luminous. The next morning she's not there, nor the day after. Tomas doesn't panic, not at first, but on the third day something cracks. He checks the news. No mentions, no headlines, no photos of her at a gala or in Milan, just absence. A gap where her presence had filled the space between routine and something like joy. Maria asks about the girl. Tomas says she's traveling and he doesn't know if it's true. Then, on the fourth day, the photo surfaces. A grainy shot taken from across the street. Her, Isabella, leaving the bakery, wearing jeans and a bun, coffee in hand. A second photo, her laughing through the window. And another, him leaning across the counter serving her something fresh from the oven. The headline is simple but loaded. Billionaire heiress slumming it in corner bakery. Romance or retreat. By noon, the damage is done. Customers begin arriving, not for bread, but for selfies. Journalists call and hang up. A camera crew knocks on the window. Tomas says nothing, just closes the door and flips the sign to closed. Inside, he stands still, heart pounding. The air smells like burnt sugar. He's not angry, not yet. But he is undone. That evening she returned, not as Isabella Hartwell, not in a limousine, not with sunglasses or an apology rehearsed by PR. She walks in through the back alley where he sometimes takes breaks. She knocks, waits. He opens the door slowly. They stand face to face in silence. She says something short, sincere. Her voice is quieter than he's heard before. Tomas watches her for a long time, his eyes tired, unreadable. He doesn't ask why she didn't tell him. He doesn't accuse. But he doesn't welcome her in, either. She places a small envelope on the counter, then walks out again, disappearing into the night without turning back. Tomas doesn't open the envelope. Not that night. Instead, he wipes the counter, starts the dishwasher, clears the register, and for the first time in weeks, locks the front door without glancing over his shoulder. The city outside moves on, but something in him refuses to. The bakery is quiet the next morning, not peaceful, silent in a way that feels hollow. Tomas arrives earlier than usual, but does less. No music, no kettle, no humming. He prepares the dough, then forgets it in the mixer. Coffee brews, but is left to burn on the warmer. The usual rhythm is offbeat, like a song missing half its notes. The door stays closed. The lights stay low. At mid-morning, someone knocks. Not customers. Not paparazzi. A man in a navy suit, crisp and calculated. He hands Tomas a business card and a sealed envelope. He speaks plainly without small talk. then leaves as quickly as he came. Tomas sets the envelope on the counter. It sits beside the first one, untouched. Hours pass. The bakery remains closed, though a few regulars peer through the glass. Tomas doesn't wave. He just sits behind the counter, arms crossed, eyes on the photo of his father. He imagines what his father would have said. Probably nothing, just placed a hand on his shoulder and went back to kneading dough. That night, Tomas opens both envelopes. The first holds a letter from her, Isabella. It's not long, not dramatic, just honest. She says she never meant to lie. She wanted to be someone else for a while, not a disguise, just a simpler version of herself. She didn't expect him, didn't expect the bakery, didn't expect to care. The second envelope holds a certified offer to buy the bakery, more than it's worth, way more. From a firm with a name Tomas doesn't recognize but suspects it leads back to her. He leaves both envelopes on the prep table, turns off the lights, and steps into the cold. The next morning he doesn't open the shop. He walks instead, past shuttered storefronts, morning deliveries, dogs on leashes. He ends up at the lake where the fog still clings to the surface and joggers move like ghosts in the mist. He sits on a bench and thinks about everything. His father's hands, the first day she walked in, the feel of twine between his fingers, the sound of her laughter echoing against the tile floor. When he returns to the bakery, the sunlight has cut through the fog. It hits the front windows in stripes, illuminating flour smudges and fingerprints on glass. Imperfect. Humans. He flips the sign to open. Word spreads quickly that the bakery is back. The regulars return first. Maria, the skateboard kid, the sisters who order the same thing every Tuesday. No mention of the article, no questions, just pastries, coffee, quiet nods. Tomas doesn't talk much. He moves more deliberately now. Each loaf shaped with care, each espresso poured like a ritual. She doesn't return, not that day, not the next. But one evening, just as he's wiping down the counters, the bell rings. She stands in the doorway. No entourage, no mask, no explanation, just her. She doesn't speak, she waits. Tomas sets down the towel, walks to the kitchen, returns with flour on his sleeves and something in his hand. A piece of dough, raw, untouched. He slides it across the counter, a silent invitation. She hesitates, then step forward, reach for it. Their hands almost touch. She helps him knead. They don't talk, not with words. The dough speaks. Instead, soft, elastic, forgiving. He shows her how to shape it. She presses clumsily, laughs. He corrects her stance. She tries again. Together they fill the silence with work. Repetitive, grounding, real. By the time the last tray goes into the oven, the sun has dipped below the city line, casting the whole shop in amber light. She doesn't offer to buy the bakery. He doesn't ask for her name. They just bake. And for the first time in a long while, everything feels right. They sit at the window as the sky fades to indigo, watching the streetlight flicker on, one beat behind schedule. Morning light filters into the bakery, brighter than usual, washing the interior in soft gold. The display case gleams with rows of fresh pastries, perfectly aligned, warm, inviting. A new shelf has been installed near the window, holding glass jars of jam, loaves wrapped in brown paper, and a small hand-painted sign, "Today's bread, tomorrow's hope." The bell above the door jingles with rhythm now, not surprise. Customers pour in, new faces mixed with the old. Tourists with guidebooks, office workers with earbuds, a young couple who can't stop smiling at each other. The line stretches to the door, but no one seems to mind waiting. Tomas moves through the space with ease, almost joy. His apron is cleaner, his posture straighter, his hands, though still cracked and flour-dusted, work faster, confident, steady. Each coffee served comes with a smile. Each roll handed over feels like an offering, not a transaction. Behind the counter, a chalkboard lists baking classes, Sundays at 10 a.m. Beneath it, a small photo. Tomas and Isabella, both in aprons, mid-laugh, dough on their hands, eyes shining. Below the photo, start with what's real. Rise from there. She's not in the bakery every day now. Sometimes she's gone for a week. Trips, meetings, parts of her life he doesn't ask about. But when she returns, it's through the alley door, hair tied back, sleeves rolled up. She never skips the ritual. She walks in, washes her hands, and joins him at the prep table. No fanfare, just flour, water, and shared purpose. Some nights they sit in the back after closing, 2 mugs of tea, soft jazz, playing low. She tells him stories in fragments. He listens. He tells her about his father in full. The envelopes are still in the drawer. He never signed the offer, never needed to. Instead, she helped him fix the plumbing. She repainted the front door. She didn't save the bakery with money. She saved it by showing up. And Tomas, in return, gave her what no one else could, a place to be ordinary, a place to be whole. Outside, the city rushes by, horns, sirens, headlines. But inside, time folds in on itself like warm dough. No disguises, no secrets, just the sound of the oven ticking, the scent of cinnamon and yeast, and a story that was never supposed to happen, but did. Because he fixed her heel, and she helped him stand tall again.